Traveling Nardo Off-Duty is made possible by the Freedom Fighter Foundation, the Omega Foundation, and subscribers like you. Thank you.
Give me plenty of that guitar.
I've been traveling on a boat, in a plane, in a car, on a bike, with a bus, on a train. Traveling there, traveling here, everywhere, in every gear. Oh Lord, we pay the price with the spin of a wheel, with the roll of the dice. Ah yeah, you pay your fare, and if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
Bocuma Airport. Good to see this place again. But it also feels weird coming here on my day off. But at the same time, it feels nice. Wait a second. No way. It's you! It is you! Hi everybody, it's Arlo the Traveling Nardo here. You know, traditionally, you guys have seen me, you know, get a mission, and usually we're out, you know, traveling all over the place. But guess what, everybody? Today I'm off duty. And I like to explore some of my more local areas. Because you know what? There's so many different places outside of the United States that we can go visit. And there's even stuff right here in the United States that we can check out. Especially this place. In fact, I don't think you guys ever remember this, but when we filmed the Walk the Dinosaur episode, we saw a little bit of this joint. This is Bocuma International Airport. This is actually where I fly out of for most of my international adventures.
With the following persons, please come to the Customer Relations Desk.
Listen to this, listen.
Dunedin Biarca, Diet Cola, Konica Minolta.
It's Konica Minolta, dude. Jeez, get it right. Anyway, today I am off duty, and I wanted to explore this airport a little bit more. And you know what? Since you're here, I want to take you with me. I want to show you all kind of what I go through in order to fly out of here. And I think it'd be really cool. I think it'd be really cool for you guys to see me off duty, and I'll show you the process of how this all works, and we can take a tour of the airport. Would you guys like to do that with me? You would? Sweet! Okay, first things first, let me show you exactly where I go to check in my bags. Because when I first come here to the airport, there's a few things that I have to take care of. First things first, obviously, is tickets. You need a ticket to get onto an airport. To get on to an airplane. And you also got to make sure that you check your bags in back over there. Here, follow me. Let me show you around. These here are the kiosks that help you get your tickets, you know, all situated and stuff. It's better to actually get your tickets before you go onto the plane, because believe me, they don't usually take walk-ins. But every single kiosk is a little bit different. Now, you used to have to go visit somebody, but nowadays a lot of things have actually been taken over by automation. Now, behind me is actually the Kaz Airlines. Kaz Air is actually what I fly in order to go to, you know, wherever international area that we've gone to. And it's pretty cool. These machines are what I put my ticket in. And this is actually where I usually will put my payment information in and select my ticket. I usually end up traveling round trip. This means that I fly out of here today, hopefully, and then I can choose the day that I want to come back. Because the best part is that sometimes round trip tickets will allow you to, you know, fly into one area and then come right back the very next day. But most of the time, I end up spending close to about 3 days to a week wherever we decide to go. Once I have my ticket all figured
the white
out,
zone is for immediate loading and unloading of passengers only.
once I
There
have
is
my
no
ticket
stopping in the red
figured
zone.
out, I then take my bags over here so they can be checked in. Now some airports will do things a little bit differently, and unfortunately there is a very big fee for having an oversized bag. Luckily though, because of the fact that I fly out of here most of the time, and because a lot of people know me here very well, they usually end up spotting me a little bit on some of the bag fees. Especially when my buddy VRC 101 travels with me to help me film. Now, I don't always fly CAS Air. I also fly out of some of the other places, including whenever I fly domestic, and the domestic gates are over there. This is Terrell Airlines. These are the ones that I use to fly domestically, especially if I'm going to be going to some place like Florida or maybe even, just a couple states over. Now, I know what you're thinking, though. I know what you're thinking. You guys may have seen this many a time, but I'm sure you're going to be asking the question, so wait a second, you have your Ferality jet. Can't you just use that to fly?
Mechanical guests, please refrain from running your engines while indoors. Thank
well,
you.
two problems with that. Number one, it costs a pretty penny, and to try and keep the costs lower, I usually end up flying myself to shorter distances. But what you guys saw in the Mambo Italiano episode when we went to go see St. Peter's Basilica, I actually flew my jet to another area and then caught a connector flight out to Italy. But in this type of situation here with Terrell Airlines, I use them the most whenever I'm heading out to, let's say, Massachusetts, New York, Mississippi, Florida, any place that's here in the States. In fact, I use them a lot because you know what? The original Traveling Nardo, if you guys remember going back to Season 1, flew out of here too. So I kind of think that I'm keeping with the good luck streak of good old Blue Bubbles. Once I'm all checked in and my bag is all set and ready to go, I can now head towards the terminals and take the train over to where I need to go. But there's a few little checkpoints I gotta go through before I'm allowed to even go on the plane. Here, follow me. So we're actually going right now into the little area where there's also a few other places that we can actually check out. You guys are a little bit weird. Let me go ahead and put you like this. There we go. Now let me just re-grab it. There you go. Now look over here. See this area over here? This area here is Air Tinnis. It is actually part of the intergalactic and the interstellar transportation. We don't usually use this, but this is actually where a lot of different people who go to Ferality fly out of. This area here is actually for inbound passengers. They're the ones that have literally just come off the plane and are waiting for ground transport. Traditionally, they're usually waiting here for like a bus or a shuttle or an Uber or a Lyft, whichever way you decide to do anything. Okay, this way. See these television screens here? Well, these screens actually show you which flights are on time and basically gives you updates as to if your time or your flight, is going to be on time, or if it's canceled or if it's delayed. Here, come closer to the screen so you guys can actually see how this looks. I can get my camera to be right there. There it is. Okay. So you can see here that these are all the different time frames right here. These are usually all the departure times. The destination is over here, and then the flight. The flight numbers are always like this. So sometimes they'll actually have the
Would the following persons please come to
call
the
letters
customer relations
of
desk?
what flight you're going to be on. So such as PT452, which is Terrell Airlines, and then it will have a call number, and it will tell you what the status is. If it says it's on time, it means the plane is good, everything's ready to go. if it says boarding, you need to get over there. Because believe me, boarding takes a little while, but sometimes trying to get over to that particular gate, if you're in the wrong area, whew, it's bad. Delayed usually means, well, delayed is self-explanatory, obviously, because delayed means that, you know, the plane is delayed because of either traffic on the runway or just, you know, something else in general. And of course it happens every now and then, but sometimes your flight gets canceled. And when that happens, it can be a really big mess. Not to worry though, most airports will help you. Just make sure that you stay as nice as you can be. It's very easy to be really upset, and I totally get it, especially when you're looking for a connector flight to wherever it is you want to go. But as long as you're nice, and as long as you're willing to, well, cough up a little bit more dough, chances are you might be on the next flight to wherever it is you're going to go. Most likely at a slightly discounted price, or sometimes a much higher price. Thankfully though, Bocuma doesn't do stuff like that. They actually will give you a better deal, sometimes 40% off. Okay, now that we have seen how we read this, let's go over here and do a security check. This area here is a security checkpoint. This is where airport security checks your bags and checks yourself for anything that is not allowed on the flights. The big thing to remember is this. Over the years, airport security has gotten tighter and tighter and tighter. Usually thanks to the fact, well, because of 9/11, which some people seem to have forgotten about. After what happened in the tragic events of 9/11, airport security got much, much tighter, and more items ended up being forbidden to go on flights. For example, you can't take a whole bottle of shampoo with you, and you certainly can't take any of those store-bought, you know, big pumps-like things for like face lotion, or maybe even a water bottle of some sort. No. Instead, if you want to take your favorite shampoo with you, so you can, you know, clean up when you get to your location, you have to bring what is known as a travel size. In fact, future me, can you go ahead and put a travel size thing on your hand really quick?
On level 2.
There we go. So this is actually a travel size of, I guess, some sort of shampoo. All right. Now the reason I keep saying shampoo is because, well, you'll find shampoo, baby powder, and other sorts of things. All right. Thank you very much. Isn't magic cool? And of course, you cannot bring knives, you cannot bring anything sharp. Now, since we don't have any baggage on us or anything like that, we still gotta do a security check. In fact, everybody has to do it. So now let's go ahead and go down this zigzag. Usually this place is completely jammed, but thanks to the fact of the folks at Bocuma, they allowed us to film here in this area without interruptions. I know, I could have just simply come down the easy way, but you know what? They put those ropes back there for a reason. So, you know, I'm not that big of a VIP, so I took the traditional route. Didn't have to go down this way. I don't feel very much like being tackled. Once we get to this area, now begins the security check. Again, this is to make sure that, you know, you're not carrying anything weird. In fact, look at this over here. Similar to the X-ray machines that you would see at a hospital, these conveyor belts are actually where you put all of your metal belongings. This includes your car keys, your phone, any change, anything metal on you. Because, once again, if you go through the metal detector and you have something on you, you will get what's called a wand. And it's not a fairy wand. Basically, the wand is up and down your body to make sure that you don't have anything else in you. Now, this next little device over here is kind of brand new. In fact, here. See this bad boy? This is a full body scanner. No, it does not make body pillows, but what this does is that you stand in there and it scans your entire body. So that way the airport knows exactly who you are. Now, traditionally, they usually will have you strip down a little bit. So it's always good to carry, to make sure that you wear your underwear or an undershirt. Now, in this situation, since I'm not, traveling or anything like that, I can enter it very easily. So you go in here, and you just kind of stand still. Just make sure your feet line up, and then just wait for it to scan you. Perfect. We're in.
This train is out of service. A train is arriving.
Now that we are finally, through security, it's time for us to catch a tram or a train to our next destination. Most of the time, when you have a very big airport, there's usually a transportation that'll take you to one of the terminals that you need to go to. For us, we need Terminal B, because Terminal A is for domestics, Terminal B is for internationals, and Terminal C is for the interstellar people. In other words, the interstellar people are the ones that go to Ferality. Come on, follow me. Down we go. Alright, so we made it down here to the East Terminus. Behind me is actually where the train is going to come in. This is where you kind of wait to, see which train is going to be which. Behind the camera right now is actually the train that is bringing in the inbound passengers, the ones that have just come off the plane and now need to go claim their baggage. We'll take a look at that once we get over to the international area. But for right now, we got about a 2-minute wait before we actually get our train. And you know what's pretty cool though about this area? Is that this is also too where a lot of people tend to come by and repack their stuff because of that security check we had back there. Now don't worry, they won't make you strip down all the way to your bare self. That's only if they suspect something. But don't worry, your unmentionables will be safe for the most part.
Board here for all terminals.
Oh, here we go. The train is about to arrive.
This train is out of service. A train is arriving on the other
Here he comes.
This is the final stop. The train has arrived.
Alright, my friend. I will see you folks over at Terminal B. In fact, you guys unfortunately will have to catch the next train because they don't really like too many people on here. So, I'll see you folks at Terminal B.
Please refrain from running your engines while indoors. Thank you.
Hold on. The train is about to depart. Next stop, Terminal A. Domestic gates 10 through 49. Hold on. The train is arriving. Terminal B. International gates 100 to 500. The train has arrived.
Alright, so we're now here in Terminal B, and it looks like you guys beat me here. I don't know how that happens, but hey, come on up. Let's go. Now that we're here inside of Terminal B, we can actually take a look at some of the cool places here. There's quite a few shops here as well. This type of shop actually helps quite a bit when you're actually going to be traveling, because there's a few essentials that you might need while you're on the plane. Come on. Sometimes a flight will go well into the evening, especially if you're crossing over time zones and things. So sometimes having a neck pillow helps. The neck pillow kind of goes on sort of like a Hans device, except minus all the straps and everything. This way, while you're still seated, you can catch a few Z's while your red eye or while your flight is heading over the international date line. That's because if you're traveling from, like, the United States out to some place like, say, Germany, then you actually end up becoming a day ahead. So right now, at the time of filming this, we're actually doing this here on a Monday, which means it's now tomorrow over in the other side. And it's pretty cool, isn't it? Of course, nearly every airport has one of these things. This is known as currency exchange. And this is a very crucial area, especially if you're going to be traveling to a place where the dollar bill is different. Nearly every country on the other side of the globe has their own form of currency. As we know, here in the United States, we have the dollar, or the dollar tender. If you go to some place like the United Kingdom, there's two different forms of payment. There is pounds, or quid, and euros. You actually might have heard the term pounds before, probably in some different British shows like Monty Python's Flying Circus, Fawlty Towers, and maybe even some of their other children's shows, where stuff actually is either 19 pounds and 99 pence, or it's probably 100 euros. In Japan, they have yen, and in Korea, don't laugh at this, Korea uses dong. I know, it's a weird one, because you know what? I really wish some place would just simply call their money ding, so we could just call it ding dong. But I don't want to start international incident, and neither should you. Sometimes airports have these big statues. They're usually around to either commemorate either the person who discovered or even built this place, or they might be memorial statues for different things. Sometimes even different animals, depending on which ones depending on which one is getting that honor. Ooh, look at that behind me. That is actually one of the airplanes right now. I mean, look at that thing, it's huge! I think we'll get a better look at that, as well as also some of the other planes when we get over to the other gates. Because now, we're actually here where the gates are. Gates are where you go to whenever you hear boarding call. But sometimes you're going to be waiting a very long time in order to get your flight. But there's still a few things you gotta do before you're actually A-OK to get onto the flight. Come on, my friend. See the area behind me? These lead to the gates where a lot of different flights will fly out of. But it's also very important to keep an eye out on the numbers, because here's the thing. Oftentimes, your ticket is going to say gate 110 or 120 or, 270 or something like that. So pay close attention to it, because believe me, it's easy to get lost in an airport like this. But for now, let's go ahead and head down here, because next we're going to come to one more security checkpoint, which is very important, but also has caused a lot of controversy in the past. And, I do like a little bit of controversy every now and then, don't you? Come on. Hey, that plane looks very familiar. There's one of the CAS airplanes. That's actually one of the ones that I usually fly on the most. And I also know the captain on there too. He's a pretty cool dude. Behind me right now is another waiting area. And most waiting areas are going to differ between, your airport and things like that. But you can see that these seats right here are not really the most comfortable looking deal, but they're nice to kind of like, hang out here.
We'll be boarding at gate 105. Please be sure to be to your flight on time. Thank you.
You always want to make sure that you listen for the call points. Now, while you're waiting here, it may seem a little bit boring, but this is where you could like drink your coffee, or read a magazine or something like that, or even get a little bit of work done while you wait. Unfortunately, though, Excuse me. Unfortunately, though, you still gotta go through one little checkpoint, and it's over there. The Customs Department. Yes, everybody, this is another checkpoint, but this is extremely important. Because you're flying international, or where we are right now, your baggage and everything has to go through one more checkpoint. This is because that certain objects, again, are not permitted in certain areas. In fact, you may have to look up online, depending on like what trip you go on, to see exactly, what items are, forbidden. But the other thing too is that they also gotta check you again. So here, let me show you how it all works. So first things first, you place your baggage right here, and you basically go through at the same time that it goes through. It goes in through that slot, and then it comes right back out to here, where then you can pick up your baggage easily. But let me show you what they see on the monitor, though. It's a little more sophisticated these days, but this place has a lot of older technology. What you can see here is literally all these different things that they scan for. What it does is that it takes a picture of the inside of your baggage, and it shows all the different data. And as long as everything turns green and there's no red marks, you're good to go. But unfortunately, if something ticks the box, then they're going to take you to a little room, interrogate you, and most likely you're going to have to give up that other thing that you want to take with you to a trip, outside of the world. Now that you're all set and ready to go, now we can actually head behind us and head to the gates. We're there, we basically wait for the boarding call. Now the other thing too is this. You may have been noticing that there's a couple of conveyor belt style sidewalks here. Well, this kind of helps out a little bit because maybe you've been doing a lot of walking and this will help you out. This also helps like if you don't have very good feet or something like that. But anyway, let's head over to the gates and let's see if we can get a close-up view of one of the big old airlines. Come on. Noodles, sauna, and spa. Enjoy our new steam rooms. Come, relax, and marinate. No. Nardo is definitely not on the menu. And now we're here in the waiting area. This is actually where people will wait for their names to be called. And oh my God! Okay, turn around, take a look. Look at her! Oh yeah, there she is. There is one of the planes that I fly out in. This thing is huge. I don't know if we can get a good shot of this, but let me see if the camera will go out here. There we go. Just look at the size of this. Good God almighty, this is a huge bird. This is a huge plane, that's what it is. But this is what it is. This is the Kaz Air airplane that I usually fly out of. Look at that. So let's get a better shot. There we go. Beautiful, isn't it? Pretty neat, isn't it? This thing is huge, but there's even bigger planes than this. Some airplanes are just strictly cargo planes, which help take cargo, mostly mail and other sorts of big items such as like cars and trucks and appliances and things like that, overseas, or sometimes in a great distance, even to Hawaii and other areas. there are also special jets that don't need to stop to refuel at the next airport. This is because they have extra tanks on them. And if you look on this guy right here, he's got one engine on this side, and on the other side there is another engine too, which is kind of out of frame, but you guys get the picture. And here comes the really cool part. Inside these bad boys usually is first class, second class, and third class. Or sometimes there are planes that are strictly for business. Unfortunately, we can't go inside one of these things because right now this one is actually being cleaned and primed and polished and even ready because at some point tonight, at the time of recording this plane is set to make its way to Athens, Greece. How cool is that? In fact, I think I'm due for another trip to Greece. I don't know. Maybe later on. Now, of course, we've talked about the boarding procedure. Now, what about when you actually get off the plane? Well, let me get into some areas over here, and I'll show you that procedure right away.
Come to Gate 28.
So now we're in the outbound area. This is actually where you come to after you get off the plane. But there's a few things that you gotta do. If you're somebody who has come here from out of country, then you still gotta do the same exact thing. You gotta go to the baggage claim, and then you gotta go through customs and immigration. That one may get a little bit messy, but follow me this way. Down here is the baggage claim. This is where you get all your luggage. Now, it takes a little bit to unload all the different bags and things, and it also helps to have a tag on your baggage. Usually what happens is very simple. Usually in either one of these areas is where you find your bag. Sometimes your bag will take a long time to come back here, and it's also very easy for the airlines to lose your luggage. Don't panic too much, just make sure that you file a complaint. But oftentimes bags will just simply, go around here because that's how they actually get back to you. Now, of course, when that's all done, back over there is immigration. Come on, my friend, let's go in there. All these kiosks here are the beginning of immigration. Now, why is there immigration? I'll tell you why. When you come in from a different country and you go to somebody else's country, or you come to us here in the States, you have to go through the immigration process, which basically checks and makes sure that your ID is, up to date, and that you have the proper documentation to come here to the United States. Now, since we are American, and since we can prove that we were born here, all I need is my driver's license. In fact, most driver's licenses will be a big form of identification. But some other things you might need is a passport, which can be very easily found and made at any post offices, or you can even get them done at some different stores. Or in some cases, you need to have some other form of identification to get in to the different countries or into the states. For example, if you're out of state, or excuse me, out of country, like let's say you're coming in from the United Kingdom, coming here to the States, the passport is going to be your best friend. So make sure your passport is up to date every single year. Lucky for me, I actually have alerts that are sent to me when I need to renew. And I always make sure to renew my passport 6 months before I gotta do any big journey. And recently, I renewed mine. And because we don't have anything on us, we only have a couple of cameras, and the place knows us, we can absolutely go through here and head up into the immigration area. Meet you up top. How are you guys beating me to these places that go upstairs? I'm gonna come for you for that. Hey, It's okay if you're beating me up the stairs. Because you know what? Now we're here in the immigration area. Now, if we spin the camera around, I'll show you the place where the most fights and the most arguments break out pretty much, every hour on the hour. This here is immigration. This is where it is also called the port of entry. This is where the international folks come to basically get checked out again. Just like what I said, there are certain things that end up happening where you can't bring certain things up into the area. So let's come over here and I'll show you. Similar to just like how you did it, you put your bag through there, and see the little screen right there? That actually does a X-ray scan of your bag, and they check it to make sure that there's no weird, things inside of it. Sometimes they have to. Sometimes they literally have to take it apart in order to see what's in there.
There is no stopping in the red zone.
And of course, occasionally, they might find something that they don't like. Once you're given the A-OK, you may even have to, again, redress yourself and things like that. Because once again, what they will probably do is that they'll easily have you open your clothes and other sorts of things to make sure that you're not carrying anything extra. But once you get past that turnstile and once you're given the approval, welcome to the United States of America, or welcome to wherever you are. This is the repack and redress area. Oftentimes, when you go through customs, you may have to repack and you may have to redress yourself. Because like I said, sometimes you're actually going to be stripped down a little bit, all the way down to your underoos. But you don't need to worry about that too much, because they'll only do that if they suspect you of certain things, and also if they find an item that doesn't fit the regulations. Chances are they'll either have you send it back, or it gets thrown in the garbage. There's no two ways about it. But anyway, let's go ahead and go back this way. Flying can also work up a good appetite, and most airports actually have restaurants in here. Sometimes they're these beautiful sit-down restaurants, others are more like fast food. In fact, I think there's quite a few of them back over at Terminal A, which is actually the domestic area. Hey, I have an idea. I'll meet all of you at Terminal A, and we'll wrap up this episode by taking a look at one of the domestic planes. These are the ones that I take whenever I go to a racetrack here in the United States. I've taken Patero Airlines to go to places like Daytona, Road Atlanta, Las Vegas, Nevada, Texas Motor Speedway, Kentucky Speedway. If it's here in the United States, I've raced it probably. Anyway, see you all at Terminal A. Or actually, you know what? Hey, BRC 101, I'm gonna borrow something from you. Through the magic of editing, we've now made the Terminal C, where there actually is a sit-down restaurant. Yeah, I know, I did say that we were going to be going to Terminal A. Well, unfortunately, Terminal A is currently, it's currently blocked off because apparently they're fumigating over there. Can't shoot when you're killing bugs over there. So thankfully, though, Terminal C is the place to be. Check this out, my friends. This here is one of the sit-down restaurants that you can come into here in this airport. Many times you will find yourself kind of sitting for long periods of time while you wait for your flight to either come in, or you're waiting for it to be ready, or sometimes the flight gets delayed. That's also why that there are many different restaurants inside the airport. Some of them could be fusion places. Others are like simple places, almost like McDonald's or Wendy's or things like that. And there's even another shop over here too. Over here at the normal market, this is actually where you can get some pretty nice food and things like that. And yes, people, the prices are very, very big. You can basically get what's called an absolute mid-burger, celery fries, pickled rutabaga with bacon, never had that before, Kale milkshake with bacon. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, I love bacon, but not a kale milkshake. No, 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 no. And then all these other things here that are not really food at all. But another thing too that you can also get here is, you know, the typical sandwich making and things like that. Just be careful though, because many airports will charge you an arm and a leg just to get yourself a sandwich. Now, I just realized something. This is Terminal C. There's one more thing I want to show you guys, and I think I want to say it's this way. Here, follow me. Yeah, I think it's down this escalator. Come on, follow me. Now, if I'm correct, it should be down there. It is. Oh, look at this big guy. Oh, yeah. Man, this thing is huge. What you're looking at right now is what's known as a jumbo jet. This jumbo jet can take plenty more passengers than any other plane anywhere. This is actually an air tennis jet plane, and it's actually one of the planes that flies everybody out to the different worlds of Ferality. So you can actually take air tennis to go to every place: Ferality Silva, Ferality Aqua, Ferality Umbra, and pretty soon Ferality Somna. That is if Ferality actually releases the dang thing. But you know what? Let's see if we can get another shot of this. Let me see if I can find a better way here over here. Hang on a sec. Let me move over here to a different spot. Here we go. All right, let's see if we can pan the camera this way so you guys can see. There it is. Look at that. Woo! This is huge, baby. That thing could take up to about as many as 500 to even 600 passengers, and can even haul big cargo. And I think they even have a spot near the back for like the 10-story people, but I wouldn't know because I'm only 5'10", so there's no way I can get back there into the tall person's club. I mean, heck, to them, I just look like a little person. But anyway, that's the air tennis plane, and I've only ridden on one of these things once, and that was actually when I went on a little field trip to Silva. And now we're back here at the entrance to the Bocuma Airport, back where we started. And now we're back here at the ticketing area, right where we started from. I hope you enjoyed this grand tour of the Bocuma Airport. What was your favorite part of the tour? I like that part too. This place is really amazing. Now, if you guys want to come and visit Bocuma, here's a few things to know. This world is pretty big, actually. It is about 350 megabytes, so it's kind of beefy, so you might need a good computer for this. And unfortunately, Questies, you can't join here because of the fact that it's Questie and PC. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna break that. And if you want to come here to Bocuma Airport, you can. And you can also use this place to fly out to any world or any place that you end up choosing. And I hope you had a grand time with this, because you know what? I love to see more about all my different local places that I love going to. And you know what? Next time on a day off, you're gonna see some more of that. So I'll see you folks next time. But for now, I'm gonna get out of here and head back for home. So, see you later. Wait a second. I just remembered something. Usually at the end of our Traveling Nardo episodes, you know, I have my guitar and then I count us in and we start, you know, dancing to the theme song. But because this theme song is a little bit different, since I don't have a guitar with me, well, let's try it here. So, to stick with a little bit of tradition, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4.